This is America in the Morning from Westwood One. Good morning, I'm John Trout. It's Tuesday, September 24th, 2024. Here's what's coming up on America in the Morning.
More U.S. troops headed to the Middle East.
You should evacuate immediately.
I'm Clayton Neville.
North Carolina's Lieutenant Governor Mark Robinson says he's going after CNN. I'm Pamela Furr.
The man accused in the apparent assassination attempt on Donald Trump in Florida will stay behind bars. Sagar Meghani, Washington.
Officials in Birmingham, Alabama say tips are coming in regarding a targeted mass shooting that killed 4. I'm Julie Walker.
On Wall Street, the S&P 500 index opens at a new record high this morning. The rate cut rally continues. I'm Jessica Ettinger.
State of Missouri okays execution, but the Supreme Court will have the final say.
A prominent Nebraska Republican came out against a plan to change the state electoral vote process. I'm Sue Aller.
All ahead on America in the Morning. A deadly day in the Middle East after Hezbollah rained down missiles on northern and central Israel, and Israel's military responded with targeted attacks against terrorist positions in South and Central Lebanon, the largest it's carried out against Hezbollah since the 2006 Lebanon War. The escalating fighting is prompting a move by the United States. Correspondent Clayton Neville is following the latest.
Rockets lighting up parts of southern Lebanon. Israeli airstrikes killed and injured more than 1,000. Lebanon's health ministry reports increasing fighting and a warning from Israel.
If you live next to properties or homes in which Hezbollah is hiding its rocket launchers and weaponry, you should evacuate immediately.
Israeli Defense Forces spokesperson David Mincer told reporters that Hezbollah must agree to stop attacking Israeli territory if it wants a ceasefire.
We will always prefer a peaceful settlement through negotiations, but that has not borne fruit in 11 and a half months now. So Israel will do whatever it takes through diplomacy or through military means to secure our northern border. It's what any other country would do.
He said that because of Iran's meddling, Lebanon has become a failed state.
Majority of the Lebanese people are against Hezbollah. Hezbollah need to be ejected from your politics, from your country, Lebanon.
The U.S. responding to the escalating fighting in the Middle East. The Pentagon announced this week that it's boosting the number of troops in the region, but didn't give an exact number. Lawmakers reacting. Congressman Mike Walz told Fox News that he worries the Biden administration believes that a ceasefire will solve the problems in the Middle East.
Once we get to a ceasefire and the hostages are released, which we all want, that everything will be fine. No. Iran will continue to stoke unrest.
There are about 40,000 U.S. troops in the Middle East right now. In a statement, the Pentagon said that out of an abundance of caution, the U.S. is sending a, quote, small number of additional U.S. military forward to augment forces already in the region. I'm Clayton Neville.
North Carolina's Lieutenant Governor Mark Robinson told reporters he's going after CNN following the news organization's published report that's left his campaign for governor struggling to survive. Pamela Furr reports.
Robinson, a Republican who's running for governor in the state, has been accused by CNN of posting a series of inflammatory comments to a porn website message board between 2008 and 2012, years before he took office. The report alleges Robinson called himself a black Nazi and said things like, slavery is not bad. On Monday, at a campaign stop in Wilkesboro, North Carolina, near Winston-Salem, Robinson once again denied the allegations.
You've got these news cameras, news reporters, pens, pencils, your microphones. This is what you're focused on? You're not focused on the things that we talked about standing up there about our economy? You're not focused on those things. I am. I'm going to remain focused on those things. And you better understand, I am coming after CNN full throttle.
CNN says it's able to identify Robinson's account by matching a username to a litany of biographical details and a shared email address.
We're in talks right now, everything up to legal counsel to take CNN to task for what they have done to us.
Meanwhile, Robinson announced over the weekend that his campaign's senior advisor, his campaign manager, and 2 other top staffers had stepped down. We're also told that 4 other aides had also quit.
We have full confidence that we can go on. We're getting resumes from all over. We're getting offers from all over. People are jumping in to help us.
Robinson is also losing other important support, like the Republican Governors Association. This according to the association chair and Tennessee Governor Bill Lee. Lee had been set to travel to the Tar Heel State this week for a fundraiser, but the event was canceled. Robinson had been considered a rising star in the party, well known for his fiery speeches. Even former President Donald Trump called him Martin Luther King on steroids. But now Trump seems to be distancing himself, appearing in Wilmington on Saturday without Robinson, and is scheduled to be in the Charlotte area on Wednesday, also without Robinson. I'm Pamela Furr.
New details in the case surrounding Donald Trump's would-be assassin. That and more when America in the Morning continues after these messages. Our program continues this Tuesday. You're with America in the Morning. AccuWeather.com meteorologist Matt Rendy is following several storm systems.
We are continuing to track the slow movement of a storm system through the eastern Great Lakes, southward through the Ohio and Tennessee valleys, and continuing southwestward into portions of Mississippi, Alabama, and Texas. The northern part of this system will have showers and thunderstorms through Wisconsin into Michigan and continuing to New York and Pennsylvania. And we'll have heavier thunderstorms developing once again through portions of the Ohio Valley into West Virginia, and then southward to Western Virginia, North Carolina, and Kentucky. And then farther south along the cold front, these thunderstorms will be a little bit more scattered, but could still produce gusty winds from eastern Texas into Alabama. Another system moving southward from the northern plains into the central plains will yield a few showers through parts of Minnesota, Iowa, and eastern Nebraska this morning before moving into eastern Kansas and Missouri and Oklahoma this afternoon, where there could even be a thunderstorm or two. Afternoon temperatures through these locations will be reflective of an early fall day, with many areas in the 60s and low 70s across the northern states and 70s and low 80s through the central plains into the middle Atlantic. Outside of these areas, there'll be a few thunderstorms along the Gulf Coast and in southern Florida. And then looking at the western part of the nation, it's going to be a decent amount of sunshine, another dry day with afternoon temperatures once again soaring in the California valleys, as well as interior portions of Oregon and southern Washington, with highs in the 90s and 100s. This is as much as 20 degrees above the historical average. That's the weather across America. Phoenix, Arizona is going to be the hot spot today with plenty of sunshine and a high of 107. Boston, Massachusetts is going to be a much cooler day with mostly cloudy skies and a high of 64. That's the nation's weather. I'm AccuWeather.com meteorologist Matt Rendy.
Follow us wherever you get your podcasts. Apple, Spotify, Amazon, and YouTube. Just search America in the Morning in your favorite listening app. I'm John Trout. More stark details are emerging about the suspect in last week's apparent assassination attempt on Donald Trump. Washington correspondent Sagar Meghani reports that more scrutiny is being focused on the United States Secret Service, as well as the suspect, Wesley Routh, who left a note indicating he wanted to kill the former president.
The government says Routh left behind a note detailing his plans to kill the ex-president, and in his car kept a list of dates and places Trump was to appear. The new allegations were in a detention memo filed before a hearing where prosecutors argued Routh should remain locked up as a flight risk and threat to public safety. A magistrate agreed. Trump, meantime, says the Justice Department's downplaying the apparent attempt on his life by bringing gun charges that are a slap on the wrist. Prosecutors indicate much more serious charges are coming. Sagar Meghani, Washington.
The search continues in Birmingham, Alabama, following a mass shooting that killed 4 people and wounded 17 others. Correspondent Julie Walker reports a reward has been offered, but so far the police have little to go on.
Officials in Birmingham, Alabama say tips are coming in regarding a targeted mass shooting that killed 4 and wounded 17 Saturday night. Mayor Randall Woodfin says a reward of up to $100,000 is offered.
We can't give them cover. They should not feel safe in our community. They should not feel safe anywhere. And so you've heard it here from 2 of our partners. You can receive up to $100,000 if you have credible information that leads to one, an arrest, and the other, an actual conviction. It's your time to step up, and we need you.
Police Chief Scott Thurman calls the shooting in the 5 Points South Entertainment District a targeted hit.
Some of the individuals that were killed have extensive criminal histories, and because of that, there's oftentimes motivation from others.
He adds.
And there's people who are willing to pay to have them killed, and so that's part of it.
Thurman says a group pulled up in a car, got out, started shooting. In the end, more than 100 rounds were fired, some from automatic-style weapons. I'm Julie Walker.
Talc makers' latest attempt to thwart lawsuits. We'll have that and more when America in the Morning continues after these messages. You're with America in the Morning. The Business Report is brought to you by Fisher Investments. Fisher Investments takes a disciplined approach with investing, helping clients navigate volatile markets. Learn more at FisherInvestments.com. Here's CNBC's Jessica Ettinger.
Wall Street opens this morning with the S&P 500 index at a fresh record high. The Dow touched one intraday yesterday as investors are still cheering the Fed interest rate cut from last week. CNBC's Mike Santoli says they're also waiting for the latest on inflation with the PCE report coming this Friday, the personal consumption expenditures data.
It's a big week to see how the market reacts to itself, making new highs. We got through the Fed. It's a quietish macro setup until we get to Friday, and I think personal income and spending within that report is pretty significant.
Gold has now had its 38th record high of the year. It hit $2,652 an ounce yesterday. Offshore oil producers like Chevron and Shell closing some facilities and platforms in the Gulf of Mexico as Helene looms. The storm is forecast to rapidly intensify before slamming into the U.S. mainland. Most of Florida is already under a state of emergency. Boeing says its best and final offer for the striking machinists union workers is on the table. It includes a pay raise and bonuses, but the pension is not being restored.
The wage increase, which was 25% over 4 years, the company is now increasing that offer to 30%. They will also restore the annual bonus that was not in the previous offer. They will have a signing bonus that doubles to $6,000. And Boeing will increase its 401k contribution. There is one last note. This offer is contingent upon ratification by 11:59 Pacific time on Friday.
CNBC's Phil LeBeau. Meantime, port strikes from Texas to Maine are looming for a week from today. And the American Apparel and Footwear Association says more than half of all clothing, shoes, and accessories in the U.S. for sale comes in through these ports. There could be higher prices and shortages heading into the holidays if there's a strike.
The latest mega company to avoid cancer lawsuits, Johnson & Johnson.
It's an old trick companies have tried to use. You put the part of the business that may have caused the problem in consumers into its own company. Then you let that fail.
Johnson & Johnson has filed a third bankruptcy case to try and settle the mass lawsuits linking its talc products to cancer. It's another test of the Texas two-step. The company used Texas corporate law to move its talc-related liabilities into an affiliate that was specifically designed to file for Chapter 11. It could then resolve those liabilities in bankruptcy court without jeopardizing its valuable business assets. Its last two attempts were rejected. However, the new case was filed in Houston, where the judge is not bound to follow the same legal rationale as the previous judge, who was in New Jersey.
CNBC's Becky Quick. On today's watch list, earnings are coming from AutoZone and KB Home. We get the latest on home prices and consumer confidence.
CNBC's Jessica Ettinger. When we return on America in the Morning, Republican state lawmaker from Nebraska at odds with former President Trump after these messages. We're back. This is America in the Morning. The Missouri Supreme Court and Governor Mike Parson have declined to halt today's execution of a death row inmate prosecutors say may be innocent, leaving his fate in the hands of the U.S. Supreme Court with less than 18 hours to go before he's scheduled to die by lethal injection. Marcellus Williams was convicted of killing a former newspaper reporter in 1998. His legal team claims that new evidence could show he's wrongly accused. A key Nebraska GOP state lawmaker has dealt former President Trump a serious blow, saying he won't support a change to his state's electoral vote process. Sue Aller reports.
Winner take all is not the case for Nebraska or Maine come the presidential election in November. Currently, the two states allocates their electoral votes by congressional district, which means the winner in each district gets one vote and the statewide winner gets two additional votes. Recently, some Republicans in Nebraska made an effort to change that, which would have likely benefited former President Donald Trump. Republican Congressman Don Bacon spoke to NBC News Meet the Press about Republican Senator Mike McDonald opposing the change.
Which means we're 3 votes short, maybe 2 votes short. And so this will likely have to wait till after the election, and we can debate about it in the future legislature.
Bacon explains why he also does not support the change.
I wish every state did what we did. If every state did what we did and we went by district, it would be a much more democratic process. You would get the candidates out to more states than just the 4 or 5 states.
Senator Mike McDonald is from Nebraska's 2nd District, which is in the Omaha area, and usually votes Democratic. I'm Sue Aller.
America in the Morning for Tuesday, September 24th, 2024 is produced by Jeff McKay, senior producer Kevin Delaney. I'm John Trout. This is Westwood One. This is America in the Morning from Westwood One. I'm John Trout. Coming up this half hour.
An Israeli military official says the country has no immediate plans for a ground operation. I'm Shelley Adler.
Hitting key battleground states on the campaign trail a week out from the vice presidential debate. I'm Clayton Neville.
California officials allege ExxonMobil has been deceiving the public for decades. I'm Jackie Quinn.
Florida bracing for a potential panhandle hurricane.
A mentally ill man who killed 10 people at a Colorado supermarket has been found guilty of murder. I'm Haya Panjwani.
Verdict in that Colorado mass shooting.
Actor Eric Stone Street reflects on the Modern Family spinoff that never was. I'm Kevin Carr.
Back after these messages. Welcome back, and thanks for listening to America in the Morning. AccuWeather.com meteorologist Matt Rindy has the national forecast.
Looking ahead, AccuWeather hurricane experts continue to monitor a system in the Western Caribbean where they are expecting a tropical rainstorm to quickly organize as it moves into the eastern Gulf of Mexico midweek and ramp up significantly as it approaches the Florida coastline on Thursday. This system is now forecast to become a major hurricane as it makes landfall with a significant risk to lives and property. We encourage everyone to pay close attention to the development of this storm. Otherwise, we are tracking the slow movement of a storm system moving through the eastern Great Lakes, southward through the Ohio and Tennessee valleys, and then continuing southwestward through portions of Mississippi, Alabama, Louisiana, and Texas. The northern part of the system will have some showers and thunderstorms through Wisconsin into Michigan, and then continuing to New York and Pennsylvania. Heavier thunderstorms will once again develop through parts of the Ohio Valley into West Virginia, and then southward to western Virginia, North Carolina, and Kentucky. And then farther south along the cold front, it'll be a little bit more scattered, but could still produce some gusty winds from eastern Texas to Alabama. Another system moving southward through the northern plains into the central plains will yield a few showers through parts of Minnesota, Iowa, and eastern Nebraska this morning before moving into eastern Kansas and Missouri. This will produce a few afternoon thunderstorms in Oklahoma as well. And afternoon temperatures through these locations will be typical of an early fall day with highs in the 60s and low 70s across the northern states, 70s and low 80s across the central plains into the middle Atlantic. Outside of these areas, it'll still be a thunderstorm around in the Gulf Coast area into southern Florida. And the western part of the nation will be largely dry with a decent amount of sunshine. We'll have afternoon temperatures once again soar in the California valleys with 90s and 100s. That's the nation's weather. I'm AccuWeather.com meteorologist Matt Rindy.
You can follow us wherever you get your podcasts, Apple, Spotify, Amazon, and YouTube. Just search America in the Morning in your favorite listening app. I'm John Trout. There have been calls for restraint by Israel after Hezbollah launched a massive wave of rocket and missile attacks, attempting to hit as far south as Tel Aviv and the West Bank, while Israel's military launched its largest aerial attack targeting terrorists in parts of Lebanon since the 2006 Lebanon War. Correspondent Shelley Adler reports the conflict between Israel and Hezbollah continues to grow as the U.S. and other nations are working to prevent an invasion of South Lebanon.
I urge you, take this warning seriously. Don't let Hezbollah endanger your lives and the lives of your loved ones. Don't let Hezbollah endanger Lebanon. Please, get out of harm's way now. Once our operation is finished, you can come back safely to your homes.
An Israeli military official says the country is focused on aerial operations and has no immediate plans for a ground operation.
Conflict along the blue line between Israel and Hezbollah has gone on for long enough. It's in everyone's interest to resolve it quickly and diplomatically, and that's where we've been. That's what we continue to say. We need to see a diplomatic resolution. That's what the president is going to continue to call for. That's why we've been working around the clock on the ceasefire deal.
John Alterman is the director of the Middle East program at the Center for Strategic and International Studies, and he says Israel just felt it was time to push back on the Hezbollah attacks.
This is the kind of step you need to take, not because you want to defeat Hezbollah comprehensively, but you need to remind Hezbollah of just how much Israel can hurt Hezbollah, can weaken Hezbollah. And if they're interested in self-preservation, they have to back off on the border with Israel.
While Israel preserves the option for a ground war, it is not committed to going further.
I'm not sure, especially after the incidents last week, with their communications being weakened, it's hard to fight when you can't talk. And the Israelis certainly can talk, and the Israelis have all kinds of intelligence. So my guess is Hezbollah would say now's not really the time to fight that war if we can avoid it.
I'm Shelley Adler.
We're now 1 week out from the vice presidential debate, and candidates are hitting key battleground states. Correspondent Clayton Neville reports.
Minnesota's Democratic Governor Tim Walz and Republican Senator J.D. Vance will take the stage next Tuesday in a debate moderated by CBS News. It'll likely be the final debate of the election season, as former President Trump says that he won't debate VP Kamala Harris again. On the campaign trail this week in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania, Walz went after North Carolina's Republican lieutenant governor, who's catching grief over a recent report that he used a slew of derogatory language in a chat room years ago.
We got folks running as Republicans for governor that are proud to refer themselves as Nazis.
He tried to draw a connection to Trump, who had previously backed Lieutenant Governor Mark Robinson.
Let's not pretend that there's a gradual difference between the folks that are running here. That they're running together. Across this country, we forged the bridges, we built the highways, we built the skyscrapers.
Trump's running mate, Senator Vance, was asked about Robinson while rallying in North Carolina.
Here's my view on the lieutenant governor. First of all, what he said or didn't say is ultimately between him and the people of North Carolina. The people of North Carolina are going to make that decision. Now, look, I've seen some of the statements. I haven't seen them all. Some of them are pretty gross, to put it mildly. Mark Robinson says that those statements are false, that he didn't actually speak them. So I think it's up to Mark Robinson to make his case to the people of North Carolina that those weren't his statements, and I'm going to let him make that case.
As for former President Trump, he held a farming roundtable in Smithton, Pennsylvania.
A special group of people, the farmers. Nobody's done for farmers what I've done.
It's the Blue Wall and Sunbelt states for Vice President Harris this week. Tomorrow, she's set to travel to Pennsylvania, and on Friday, she'll hit Arizona, followed by Nevada on Sunday. I'm Clayton Neville.
In an historic lawsuit, the state of California is suing a giant fuel and chemical company alleging it's lied about recycling plastic products. Correspondent Jackie Quinn reports.
In a first-of-its-kind environmental lawsuit, California officials allege ExxonMobil has been deceiving the public for decades about the ability to recycle plastic products.
Sham solutions, manipulated the public, and lied.
California Attorney General Rob Bonta says ExxonMobil, which is one of the world's largest plastic producers, has known since the 70s that plastic really can't be recycled.
Our 147-page complaint makes it clear that ExxonMobil promoted and vastly increased its production of single-use plastic, while doling out false promises that its plastics are sustainable and recyclable, and false promises that recycling would take care of ensuing plastic waste and help ExxonMobil use less fossil fuel to make new plastic, a solution it knew wasn't technically or economically viable.
And yet it pushed recycling programs, which Bonta alleges gets rid of only about 5% of plastic waste.
Plastic contaminates our drinking water, strangles our wildlife, and blights our landscapes. Microplastics have been found in our lungs, maternal and placental tissue, breast milk, and blood. Plastic manufacturing plants and materials recovery facilities generate hundreds of millions of tons of toxic air pollution, often in or near marginalized communities.
California's lawsuit seeks penalties, a cleanup fund, and an end to the alleged deception. I'm Jackie Quinn.
Massive data breach at Disney. We'll have that story and more when America in the Morning continues after these messages. Welcome back. I'm John Trout. You're with America in the Morning. Although autumn has just begun, there's plenty of time left in the 2024 Atlantic hurricane season. Alerts are going out from Tampa to Mobile as a brewing storm to be named Helene is continuing to gain strength in the warmer-than-normal waters of the Gulf of Mexico. The National Weather Service expects Helene to become a major hurricane by tomorrow and could reach the Florida Panhandle somewhere north of Tampa and east of Pensacola sometime on Thursday. The tropical storm watch is in place for the Florida Keys. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis has already declared a state of emergency for 41 counties along or near the state's Gulf Coast ahead of its arrival, an area still recovering from Hurricane Debbie that flooded the same region last month. A gunman who killed 10 people in a Colorado supermarket in 2021 has been found guilty of murder. Correspondent Haya Panjwani reports.
We, the jury, find the defendant, Ahmad Alyssa, guilty of count number 1, murder in the first degree. Jury verdict count number 2 as to Kevin Mahoney. We, the jury, find the defendant, Ahmad Alyssa, guilty of count number 2, murder in the first degree, indicating on all of these that there is a signature by the foreperson.
A mentally ill man who killed 10 people at a Colorado supermarket in 2021 has been found guilty of murder and faces life in prison. Ahmad Alyssa's attorneys did not dispute that Alyssa, who has schizophrenia, fatally shot 10 people, including a police officer, in the college town of Boulder. But he pleaded not guilty by reason of insanity, with the defense arguing he couldn't tell right from wrong at the time of the attack. Alyssa started shooting immediately after getting out of his car in a King Superstore parking lot in March 2021. He killed most of the victims in just over a minute and surrendered after an officer shot him in the leg. I'm Haya Panjwani.
A Texas jury clears all but one of 6 Donald Trump supporters who were accused of breaking federal law when they surrounded a Joe Biden campaign bus driving down a Lone Star State highway days before the 2020 election. More on the story from correspondent Ed Donahue.
Days before the election, a Biden-Harris campaign bus was traveling from San Antonio to Austin for an event when a group of cars and trucks waving Trump flags surrounded the bus. Video shows one of the defendants hit a campaign volunteer's car while the trucks occupied all lanes of traffic, forcing the bus and everyone around it into a 15-mile-per-hour crawl. People who were on the bus say it amounted to political intimidation. A former lawmaker testified she feared for her life. One driver was found liable in a civil trial. The jury awarded $10,000 to the bus driver. No criminal charges were filed in Texas against the 6 Trump supporters. I'm Ed Donahue.
The Federal Reserve sees its inflation fight as a success, but can the public eventually agree? Correspondent Jennifer King explains.
Inflation has eased substantially from a peak of 7%
Fed Chairman Jerome Powell
to an estimated 2.2% as of August.
Christopher Waller with the Fed's governing board has suggested inflation could fall faster than expected, with core prices trending under the target during the past 4 months. Economist Sophia Baeg at the polling firm Morning Consult reports that shoppers are experiencing less sticker shock but still see high prices as a burden and can't help but think about how much lower prices were 2 or 4 years ago. But Baeg says consumers do typically adjust to higher prices over time. On the horizon, lower borrowing rates could eventually boost consumer sentiment, and the Census Bureau reports average incomes are now rising faster than prices. As for politics, the most recent AP NORC poll finds Kamala Harris and Donald Trump running neck and neck when voters were asked which of the two candidates would do a better job with the economy. Jennifer King, Washington.
The Disney Corporation is dropping the instant messaging platform Slack due to a massive data breach affecting almost every business unit. Here's Chuck Palm with that in today's Tech News.
The Walt Disney Corporation announced last week they will no longer be using the communications platform known as Slack. Slack is a server-based instant messaging platform that many employees have been using to collaborate. After a mega hacking incident leaked terabytes of company data, Disney CFO Hugh Johnston said that most of the media and entertainment company's business would stop using the service later this year. Slack's parent company Salesforce.com has yet to comment on the incident. The hacker group known as Nullbulge had published data from thousands of Slack channels, including computer code and details about unreleased projects. According to a Wall Street Journal report, more than 44 million messages from Disney's Slack workplace communications tool had been compromised. Nullbulge had compromised the software supply chain by exploiting code from the collaborative coding platforms known as GitHub and Hugging Face. And once again, hackers convinced users to download unknown software. Find me on X at Chuck Palm.
Tuesday Sports is in. Here's America in the Morning's Robert Workman.
The final week of baseball's regular season is underway. The Phillies beat the Cubs 6-2 to clinch the National League East for the first time since 2011. The win keeps the Fightins in the hunt for the top seed in the NL playoffs, a half game behind the idle Dodgers. Giants down the Diamondbacks 6-3. Matt Chapman's 27th homer of the season was an inside-the-park job. Arizona, the defending NL champs, continued its up-and-down September that has seen the Snakes fall from the top of the wild-card standings to third, just a game and a half ahead of Atlanta. American League, the Mariners harpooned Houston 6-1, preventing the Astros from clinching the West for a fourth straight year, and Houston will be without slugger Yordan Alvarez for the series with a sprained right knee. The Red Sox kept their wild-card hopes alive with a 4-1 win over the Blue Jays. NFL Week 3, a Monday night doubleheader. The Bills improved to 3-0 with a 47-10 rout of the now 0-3 Jaguars. Josh Allen fired 4 first-half touchdown passes.
You don't win a Super Bowl, get into the playoffs with 3 games, and I think this team understands that.
In Cincinnati, the Commanders kept the Bengals winless 38-33. Each team had a touchdown on its first possession. Then it was the Jaden Daniels show. 2 scoring passes and a TD run for the Heisman Trophy winner.
No matter who the opponent is, getting a win, primetime game, getting a win in general, it's huge.
Daniels was 21 of 23 passing, setting an NFL rookie record with a completion percentage of 91.3. Thursday night, Week 4 opens with the Cowboys at the Giants. New college football polls, Texas leads Georgia in the AP, while the coaches keep the Bulldogs ahead of the Longhorns. The big game in Week 5 on Saturday, number 2 Georgia at number 4 Alabama. And another Mountain West school appears to be on its way to the Pac-12. Sources tell The Athletic that Utah State will become the 5th to make the move, following Boise State, Colorado State, Fresno State, and San Diego State. With Oregon State and Washington State already in, that's 7 of the 8 schools needed for the retooled Pac-12 to get NCAA and FBS certification. That's Tuesday Sports.
College football players' motherly duties. America in the Morning continues after these messages. This is America in the Morning. Welcome back. A star of the hit TV series Modern Family talks about a spin-off of the show that never got made. Kevin Carr reports.
Modern Family alum Eric Stonestreet shared his thoughts and his disappointments about an unrealized spin-off of his popular sitcom. Stone Street was the latest guest on In Depth with Graham Bensinger to talk about his life and career. When pressed upon a possible Modern Family continuation, Stone Street gave some insights.
Well, they had their chance. Chris Lloyd and a couple of the writers wrote a really great script that spun Jesse and I off in our life in Missouri.
However, after developing a script and having Modern Family co-creator Christopher Lloyd on board, ABC decided not to pursue the series.
Jesse and I maybe felt like they thought of us as the old guys or something like that didn't seem worthy of keeping those characters going. It just felt a little hurtful.
Modern Family was a groundbreaking and popular sitcom that ran from 2009 to 2020 on ABC. It featured multiple versions of what a family is. Stone Street starred opposite Jesse Tyler Ferguson as a gay couple that raises their adopted Vietnamese daughter, Lily. Now, more than 4 years since Modern Family had its series finale, Stone Street thinks developing the show was a missed opportunity.
I don't know how it works anymore. I really don't, because it's been so long. I think it would have been a slam dunk.
Stone Street is currently working with Peyton Manning and Prime Video on another comedy called Home Team. I'm Kevin Carr.
For one Michigan State University student-athlete, life isn't just about football. Correspondent Mike Householder reports on one young man, a high-achieving student, star on the college gridiron, also playing the role of parent for his 5 younger siblings after his mother died in August.
The 21-year-old Michigan State defensive back is in charge of his younger brothers and sisters.
I get to come in here and see my siblings and stuff every day, you know what I'm saying? So it just put a smile on my face to see them happy.
Smith has a lot on his plate. His mother died a month ago after battling breast cancer. Smith has become head of the household while studying criminal justice and playing major college football.
My cards were given to me. I didn't choose my deck of cards.
But Smith has help. His 19-year-old sister minds things while he's gone for about 12 hours most days. They live in a 4-bedroom, 2-bathroom house in the state's capital city thanks to waves of financial support. Plus, he has Mamatron. Yolanda Wilson is the mother of Smith's high school and now MSU teammate Nick Marsh. She vowed to be there for Smith and his family.
They have us to support them. I'm going to be there no matter what. That was a promise I made to their mother.
Smith says his sadness comes and goes, but he knows his mother would want him to carry on.
I could feel her living through me, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know, it's like I hear her voice telling me how proud she is, like how proud she is of me.
Correspondent Mike Householder reporting. America in the Morning for Tuesday, September 24th, 2024 is produced by Jeff McKay. Senior producer Kevin Delaney. I'm John Trout. This is Westwood One.